Hello, boys and girls, and welcome to Storytime. If you remember, we are continuing in the book, Tell Me the Secrets, Treasures for Eternity by Max Lucado. Now, last week we learned about growth. We learned the secret of growth. Do you remember there was a riddle? A riddle that we had to figure out, and it was a little bit confusing, wasn't it? But the riddle said, growth hurts when it helps. Growth stretches when it strengthens. And when growth happens, you don't like it. But after it's over, you are glad it came. Now, if we remember the story, Shannon and Eric and Landon had all had bad weeks. Different things happened to each of them. If you remember, Shannon did not get the part in the play she wanted. She worked so hard, but she didn't get it. Landon, well, he was dumped by his girlfriend. And Eric, his brother, ditched him, told him he was going to take him to a game, and then he went out with a girlfriend. He got ditched for a girl, and they were all feeling pretty down and pretty low. Well, Josh knew that, and he stepped in and he arranged some special adventures for each one. They were each given something: a bit, a lump of clay, and a block. All of those things were pretty much useless until they were put in the right hands. In the hands of a skillful carver, the block of wood could be shaped into anything you want. Eric was making a duck. That steel bit in the hand of a trainer could be used to tame a wild horse. And that lump of clay with water and pressure and time and on the wheel of a potter could become something useful, like a bowl. We learned that last week. And as we read, we learned about growth, that you can feel the pain in the word right off the bat. How many times have our children complained of growing pains? Do you get growing pains at night sometimes? I remember I used to get them. Well, spiritually, the same thing happens. Growth comes mostly through pain. We often give our children the impression that difficulties are to be avoided at all cost, and that hard circumstances reflect the absence of God in our lives. But just as a sculptor uses a chisel to chip away the rough exterior to get at the beauty underneath, so God continually shapes us into the image of His Son. He wants us to be works of art in the shape of Christ. Every challenge, every valley, and every moment of pain is the vehicle to get there. Here is a secret. When you ask for patience, God will usually allow circumstances to help you develop patience. The same with courage, peace, trust, and most other godly attributes. You can make that process short or long, depending on whether you choose to submit or to fight it every step of the way. Oh, I forgot to mention that the process ends up with us being refined as gold. I like that part. I will refine them as one refines silver and test them as gold is tested. Zechariah 13:9. Last week, we learned the secret of growth. And how perfect, today being Valentine's Day, that we get to learn the secret of love. I love this picture. Here you see an older man and an older gentleman walking arm in arm. Somebody is watching them as they walk together. Now, the verse we have for today is an excellent wife who can find. She is far more precious than jewels. Proverbs 31:10. The secret of love. I must warn you, reader, before you begin. These words are ancient jewels mined from the quarry of my life. Read them only if you dare treasure them. For it would be better to never know than to know and not obey. The hand which writes them is now old, wrinkled from the sun and labor. But the mind which guides them is wise, wise from years, wise from failures, wise from heartache. I am Asmara, merchant of fine stones. He had a leathery face, Josh had explained to Eric, and a snowy white beard. The lines around his eyes were deep as canyons. He wore a black hat with a short bill and carried an ebony cane topped with a raven's head. We became friends in the port of the city of Morocco, meeting at the same cafe every morning for a summer. At first by chance, but with time by plan. We met and talked. He was nearly 90 years of age, an old traveler near the end of his life. I was barely 20, a young missionary on my maiden voyage. What did he teach you? Eric had asked. He taught me about the one jewel he never held. What was that? Read and see. I was so moved by his story that I gave him my journal and asked him to write it. The words you read are his, but the lesson he teaches is yours, if you are willing. Eric was more than willing. He needed some guidance. That morning at baseball practice, he had come upon his friends huddled in the dugout. "What's up?" he asked, peering over their shoulders. No one responded. They just snickered and invited him to sit down. On the floor was a box of magazines. Magazines full of pictures with women without clothing. "Go ahead, Eric. Pick one up," one of the boys urged. "I found them in my brother's closet." "Yeah, Eric, go ahead. It's okay," spoke another. "Come on, Eric. No one will know." "Maybe later," was all he could think to say, and he hurried out onto the baseball field. Later, he told Josh that he was confused. Maybe the guys were right. After all, it's only pictures. But Josh wasn't confused. He spoke as if he knew exactly what Eric was facing. Be careful, Eric. Lust dresses well to please the buyer. What? What you experienced this morning could destroy you. It was just a magazine. Josh responded firmly. It wasn't just a magazine, Eric. It was a bad magazine. A magazine that teaches a lie. A lie? Eric was surprised at Josh's firmness. That's right, a lie. A lie about love and beauty. Listen to me, Eric. Love is much more than a pretty face or body. Love is from the inside, not the outside. When Josh finished speaking, he gave Eric the key and the book and sent him to the park to read the story. Eric found an empty bench, sat down, and opened the book. The handwriting was broad. I am a seller of stones. I travel from city to city. I buy jewels from the diggers in one land and sell them to the buyers in another. I have weathered nights on stormy waters. I have walked days through the desert heat. I have dined with kings. I have drunk with paupers. My hands have held the finest rubies and stroked the deepest furs. But I would trade it all for the one jewel I never knew. It was not for lack of opportunity that I never held it. There was a chance in Madrid when I was young. No, it was not for lack of opportunity. It was for lack of wisdom. The jewel was in my hand, but I exchanged it for an imitation, and now I fear my days will end without my ever knowing the beauty of the precious stone. What stone is he talking about? Eric said to himself as he turned the page. The answer came in the next line. The ink was bolder, and the words were underlined. I have never known true love. I have known embraces, and I have seen beauty, but I have never known love. If only I'd learned to recognize love as I have learned to recognize stones. My father taught me about stones. He was a jewel cutter. He could sit me at a table before a dozen emeralds. One is true, he would tell me. The others are false. Find the true jewel. I would ponder studying one after the other, and finally I would choose. I was always wrong. The secret, he would say, is not on the surface of the stone. It is inside the stone. A true jewel has a glow. Deep within the gem, there is a flame. The surface can always be polished to shine, but with time, the sparkle fades. However, the stone that shines from within will never fade. With the years, my eyes learned to spot true stones. I am never fooled. The stones I purchase are authentic. The gems I sell are true. I have learned to see the light within. If only I'd learned the same about love. But I've been foolish, dear reader, and I have been fooled. I have spent my life in places I shouldn't have been, looking only for someone with sparkling eyes, beautiful hair, a dazzling smile, and fancy clothes. I've searched for a woman with outer beauty, but no true value, and now I am left with emptiness. Once I almost found her, many years ago in Madrid. I met the daughter of a farmer. Her eyes were simple, her love was pure, her eyes were honest. But her looks were plain. She would have loved me. She would have held me through every season. Within her was a glow of devotion, the like of which I have never seen since. But I continued looking for someone whose beauty would outshine the rest. How many times since I have longed for that farm girl's kind heart, her sweet smile, her faithfulness. If only I'd known that true beauty is found inside, not outside. If only I'd known how many tears I would have saved. I'd trade in a moment 1,000 rare gems for the true heart of one who would have loved me. Dear reader, heed my warning. Look closely at the stones before you open your purse. True love glows from within and grows stronger with the passing of time. Heed my caution. Look for the purest gem. Look deep within the heart to find the greatest beauty of all. And when you find that gem, hold on to her and never let her go. For in her you have been granted a treasure worth far more than rubies. Eric looked at the last words for a few minutes before he closed the book. He hadn't noticed that on the bench across from him were Josh and Melva. He only looked up when Josh began to speak. When Asmara returned my journal, he said these words: Choose true love when you are young, so you won't be lonely when you are old. Then he turned and left. That was the last time I ever saw him, Eric. I'll never forget how sad he looked. And taking Melva's hand, he added, and I'll never regret the choice I've made. Josh leaned forward and looked squarely into the eyes of his young friend. Turn the page and read The Secret of Love. Eric did, and this is what he saw. Seek beauty and miss love. Seek love and find both. Love. What's love got to do with it? Asked a popular rock song. Unfortunately, this is the philosophy of our culture. A preoccupation seems so ingrained in every movie, magazine, and television show that beauty is on the outside. The glue that God designed to hold it all together is love in marriage. We are tempted with pictures and untruths about what love is, and Satan sometimes achieves a gigantic victory when a person is willing to pursue the outward and the physical. And that's the only place where wrong will happen. It is not God's way. Since time has a way of changing our appearance over the years, it's a comfort to me that I am going to love my wife, not based upon how she looks. But then again, that's not why I married her. She is beautiful to me. But even as we age, and maybe we don't think we're as attractive anymore, our love will endure. Love is patient and kind. Love does not envy or boast. It is not arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice at wrongdoing, but rejoices with the truth. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, and endures all things. 1 Corinthians 13:4. And 1 Peter 3:3. Do not let your adorning be external, the braiding of your hair, and the putting on of gold jewelry, or the clothing you wear. But let your adorning be the hidden person of the heart, with the imperishable beauty of a gentle and quiet spirit, which in God's sight is very precious. And the final verse for today, 1 John 2:15. Do not love the world or the things in the world. If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the desires of the flesh and the desires of the eyes and pride of life, is not from the Father, but is from the world. And the world is passing away along with its desires. But whoever does the will of God abides forever. 1 John 2:15. The secret of love. That is a beautiful truth that we've learned today, that it's not the outside that is love, but the inside, the kindness, the gentleness, the generosity, the giving heart, the patient heart, the kind and loving heart. And that is what we learned today, the secret of love. Not found with what our eyes see, but one who is obedient to the Lord Jesus Christ and grows daily with him. May God bless you, and may you have a happy Valentine.